It's been about a year since we released our video tutorial about how to use the Yoast plugin to improve the SEO on your WordPress website, and it's still one of the topics that we get most frequently, especially when I do Q&A calls in people's communities. One of the top things that shows up is like, how do I figure out what to put in the SEO box? Or do I need to have a plugin like Yoast? Or if I don't get green lights on everything, is that still okay? So I want to take a couple minutes today and walk you through not necessarily how to use that plugin, but really more about the why and the when it doesn't matter. And if you ever feel like trying to get the green light is taking more time than writing the blog post, or you're stressed about not having something that's going to show up in Google because it's not getting the score that you need, oh gosh. I hope that watching this video will give you some peace of mind that you can still absolutely get your content to show up on Google and have content that people can connect with and want to work with you when they read it, even if you don't have a green light on that page. So stick with me. I will ease your mind about all of this, and I'll explain when you do and don't need to use the SEO plugins. Hi, I'm Meg Casebolt, the founder of Love at First Search, where we help online entrepreneurs to show up in search results and then turn those new visitors into leads, subscribers, and sales. As somebody who has my own website on WordPress and helps a lot of people whose websites are built on WordPress to improve their SEO, I get a lot of questions specifically about the Yoast plugin. And the thing is that the questions that I get about Yoast are not necessarily how to make the plugin work. The questions that I feel like I've been getting a lot lately are much more like, why do I need to bother with this? Or how do I make sure that I'm making the most of these listings? So I want to take a couple minutes to just explain when and how you do want to use Yoast or any of the other SEO plugins that are out there in order to make sure that you're getting the most SEO out of your site, but also giving people the best customer experience and saving your own peace of mind in the process, not getting so stressed out about these arbitrary metrics that don't actually mean anything. In case you're not familiar with Yoast, it's the most popular SEO plugin. In some ways, it's synonymous with the idea of SEO, that people who know that SEO is a marketing tactic will sometimes be like, oh, that's the thing with the green lights. But I also think that in a lot of ways, Yoast has confused people and done a disservice to the way that people are thinking about their content by oversimplifying it into this sort of traffic light framework that may not actually be the best way to produce content that works for your customers. I think the biggest way that Yoast has confused their users and the people that are trying to get SEO to work for us is the fact that the tool has a space for you to fill out one target or primary keyword for every post or page or project on your website. If you go look at the Yoast plugin, it even has a little area where it says this is your target keyword, and then it makes all of its recommendations based on the keyword that you select. And I think that the trouble that can come out of this is twofold. First of all, it has no idea why you're selecting that keyword or what the strategy is behind it. You may choose a keyword that's not appropriate for what you're putting onto that page, and then Yoast is actually making that blog post worse because it has no way of validating whether or not that keyword is a good choice for you and what you want people to do when they get to that page, and whether it's a good fit for everything else going on your website. It's not taking into consideration the quality of the keyword. It's just saying, okay, based on the fact that you selected that, here's what we're going to tell you to do. It's not verifying whether or not that's a good choice, but then it's making recommendations based on the fact that it has no idea if that's what you should be doing. The second problem with having one target keyword associated with each page is that that's just not the best way to create content. And Google has evolved past the point of expecting there to be one target keyword per page. So although Yoast can be a really good reminder and a checklist of, hey, here are some places that Google takes a look at. It wants to see SEO optimized information in your SEO title, in your headlines, and your internal linking. All of that is still accurate. But by infusing one phrase and putting it into all, 8 places that Yoast tells you to put it in, you are both making your content sound more robotic because you're shoving those same words in the same order into multiple places on the page, which is awkward to read. And you're also limiting the number of ideas or concepts that blog post can be ranking for. Honestly, this approach used to work. 10, 15 years ago, this is the way that you would get a page to rank. It was a factor called keyword density, which is how many words on that page are that phrase that you're using. What percentage of words on your website have that phrase there? And that was an important ranking factor. But that's just not true of what Google is looking for in content anymore. Google's no longer looking for that same 5 or 8 or 10 word keyword phrase. It's even if you just have one word as your target key phrase, even then Google's looking for more variety, because honestly, that's not the way that we talk to each other. We don't say the same phrase over and over again. Even in a very conversational way, we find different ways to say the same things when we're talking, and people expect that when they're reading something that we create. So all of these theoretical ideas about choosing a keyword for a page and then putting it into these 8 places is fine, but let's actually use an example so that way you can kind of understand what I'm saying. Let's say that you are a dog trainer and you're writing a blog post for your potential clients whose dogs are barking all the time. Whether you do keyword research or not, you might think that the keyword for that post would be something like how to stop dog barking. 5 words. You maybe haven't used it on your site before. Yoast would be like, okay, cool. That's a great keyword. And honestly, it is actually a pretty great keyword. It has a clear outcome. We know what the intention of it is. We know that somebody would be typing that in because their dog is barking and they want to stop it. It's a pretty straightforward keyword. But the problem with the tool, and this is true for most SEO plugins, is that it wants you to take those same 5 words in the same order and put it into all of the places that they've identified. So maybe it's an SEO title that's like, how to stop dog barking, get yourself a good night of sleep. And then another one, your headline could be how to stop dog barking, so your neighbors don't get annoyed with you. And you have to put the same 5-word phrase in all these places. And if you adjust the phrase in any way, if you say how to stop your dog from barking, then Yoast is like, whoa, that's not the phrase though. That's not right. That's not the thing. But it's a weird phrase, and putting it into all of those same places in the same order, it sounds awkward. It sounds robotic. The first permission I want to give you here is to not feel like you have to use the exact phrase in the same order, even if it breaks your green light streak. It's more important that you make it sound natural and you make it something that people actually want to read and they can learn from and they can learn to trust you from your content than it is to get that same 5-word phrase, how to stop dog barking, into all of these, 8 different places on that page. And here's the thing. Google doesn't really care if you use those 5 words in that order, because even though there's probably, 200 people a month in the United States looking for that exact phrase of how to stop dog barking, they also go into more details about how to get dogs to stop barking out the windows at the people walking by the house, or how to get dogs to stop barking when a guest comes into my house, or how to get the dog to stop barking when the doorbell rings. Like, there are a lot of different scenarios that could easily become parts of that blog post. You could use your keyword research to flesh that out a little bit and include that information as subheadings, so you can use each of those scenarios as a different part of the post. The other problem is people might be having this problem, but they don't use the phrase how to stop. They just say like, the dog's barking, right? Or they might not even use the verb barking. They might say growling or snarling or howling. You can tell I've been doing some Mad Libs with my 7-year-old. I'm really good at active verbs now. And if you get so fixated in the ways that you're optimizing this post that you're only talking about how to stop dog barking over and over and over again, then you might miss out on some of that breadth of things that people are struggling with. And you can just have them all come to that one central post instead of feeling like I have to write one post about barking and one post about growling and one post about howling. If the intention of the post is the same, you can include as many ideas about keywords, as many related topics to that as you want to, all in one post. Make those subsections that have H2 tags, and you might get a bit of pushback from these SEO plugins that say like, oh, well, now your keyword density is going down because you're not using the word barking as much. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that's not how people talk. That's not how people search. Let's make our content do more for us. Let's give it the opportunity to rank for as many keywords as we want. So as long as the objective of the person searching for it is the same, and the advice that you're giving is the same, and the call to action is the same, you don't have to create as much. If you include more keywords into one post, if you go into more details, Google's going to recognize the value of that, and they're going to send more people to that post. If diversifying the amount of content and the ideas around your content that you're talking about means that you miss out on that green light, a stamp of approval, that's totally okay. Yoast does not report your target key phrase to Google and say, this is the phrase and this is the only one that you can rank for. In fact, Yoast doesn't actually change anything on the page. Sure, you can put in your SEO title and make sure that what shows up in the Google search results is what you have included in there, but all the changes that you're making are for you to make on the page. If you have all red lights, or if you don't even fill out the Yoast SEO target keyword and it doesn't even give you a score, you can still do incredibly well on Google. Your Yoast score is not an indication of your future performance. It's an indication of how often you included that phrase into those key spaces. It's a checklist. It's not a strategy. It's not a performance measurement. And I also want to remind you that it's okay if some of your blog posts have that target keyword and you're working to get it optimized, and some of your content doesn't. Not every page on your website has to be optimized for search. If you have a landing page that is just a space for you to send people from like a specific podcast to capture their email addresses, you don't have to optimize that because no one needs to find that from search results. That's just people who are coming from that podcast episode. You won't get penalized if you have pages that aren't optimized. In fact, most websites follow the 80-20 rule, which is that 80% of your search traffic comes from 20% of your content. So if you have some specific posts that are doing really well for you, spend more time improving those than worrying about optimizing something that doesn't have a really clear value to cold traffic. I hope this video has been helpful in giving you permission to let go of the expectation that you will get a green light on every page. And in fact, I hope it gives you permission to kind of let go of some of those rules that you've made for yourself around marketing that don't always make sense because these tools have given us false expectations. If you like this video and you want more straight talk about the fact that you actually do know what you're doing in your marketing and these tools might just be messing with your head, make sure to comment below. If you have any other questions, ask those in the comments too, and we can make follow-up videos to help explain even more of this and hopefully give you a little bit more ease in your marketing. And I'll be back next week with more tips to help you make your marketing easier and bring in more leads into your website. See you then.